Welcome to Tall Talk Times podcast, a podcast made by beautifully tall people.
For beautifully tall people, I'm Tom Garner.
I'm Letty Saunders. Nice to see you. Hi, Tom.
Hello, how's it going?
It's going well. Yeah, lots and lots of feedback coming in on our Facebook group about our events, so that's fab.
Oh, fantastic. What are they saying?
Well, we're getting a few more people coming to our Celebrating Heights monthly meetings in London. We changed the venue. You know this, Tom, but a lot of our listeners won't. We change the venue every single month. So we've had some recce's. My son, Oscar, and I, he's 6'5.5". We went into London and checked out a few more venues. So we have some more wonderful events coming up in the summer. And you can read all about them and see whether or not you'd like to go by checking them out on our Facebook group.
Fantastic. Yes. Do if anyone wants to, any information is on our Facebook group. And yeah, do come along to our events. They're really fun and it's lovely to meet fellow tall people. It's they're marvelously inclusive.
Yeah, they are inclusive, and we always make sure that they're accessible as well, should anyone have any mobility issues. And you can come on your own or with a non-tall or tall plus one if you wish. But the videos, have you seen the videos of the meets?
Yes, they're very fun videos, yes.
Nat does those. He does a really good job with the videos.
Yeah, this is Nat, the co-founder.
Yeah. He's in charge of the photographs and the videos of the Friday night. It's always good to see. There's always something in them that when did that happen? Where was I?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, that's because you're very busy being a social butterfly.
Well, one day a month I'm a social butterfly. Just one day a month. The rest of the time...
one day only.
Yeah, one day only. The rest of the time I'm in the garden with the plants.
Well, it's all about balance, isn't it?
Yeah. So what have you been up to recently, Tom?
What have I been up to recently?
Trip to Italy.
Yes, I went to Italy. Yes.
I had
a very good time, thank you.
Are you in love with Italy?
Italy is more than I thought it would be. I mean, it looks beautiful on the photographs, but when you're actually there, it's even more so. Oh. And listeners, the pizza genuinely is amazing in Italy. Oh God, I should just move there. Really, it's pizza, gelato, pasta. You can get them here, obviously, but it's not the same. You got to actually be there in the heart of Tuscany and just absorb it all.
Okay.
Yeah. So I had a lovely time. Thank you. How was Northern Ireland?
A lot of fun. We packed a lot in.
Yes.
We did pack a lot in. Photos again for our listeners. If you'd like to have a look at the photos of the Tall Talk Times trip to Belfast, go to our Facebook group and you'll see some embarrassing photographs there.
Yes. I said yes. They're not embarrassing, I should say, but yes, the photographs are there on Facebook. That's what I meant to say. Sorry, Letty, I wasn't implying that they were embarrassing.
No, I'm sure there are some there that are.
And how were the Glamazons, our tall counterparts in Ulster?
No, it's wonderful. It's great to have a reciprocal encouragement of being beautifully tall, be it the Glamazons or Tall Talk Times. It's good because we are all one big tall community. So yeah, it's nice that we embrace each other. Absolutely. Next time, maybe,
I really
Tom, you can come too.
Mm-hmm. I would really love that. I mean, I like Northern Ireland, so I'd be really up for that. Yes. So I hope the Glamazons would be, because it's an all women's group. I hope they'd be okay with me tagging along, so to speak.
Oh, they'll love you because Tall Talk Times is obviously male and female. So yeah, we'll have another night or a couple of nights out in Belfast and make sure it's a time when you can make it and be fab. Absolutely beautiful city, Belfast, though. Really like it.
Yeah, it's fascinating with the Titanic Museum and other places as well. It's also surrounded by hills. People don't know that if you haven't been there. It's the city is nestled by the coast and surrounded by lovely scenery. So yeah, check it out sometime.
Yeah, definitely going back. But for now, Giants of History. Are you ready, Tom?
Indeed, yes. Let's go.
Tom Garner's Giants of History.
So yes, thank you, Letty. Yes, so Giants of History. Well, last week we went to medieval England for King Edward IV. But this week, we're still in England, but we're going to be fast forwarding to the 20th century. And our giant of history this week is Peter Mayhew. Now, the name might not be familiar, but he was an actor, and his character will be familiar to most of our listeners. Peter Mayhew was the man inside the costume for Chewbacca from the Star Wars films.
Wookiee! Oh, no. We've got a Wookiee on the show.
We're going to be studying Wookiees in depth for the next few minutes.
Excellent.
So I'm really excited about this one because I love Star Wars, and this is and his story is actually really inspirational. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So, to coin a phrase, a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away called Surrey, a boy called Peter Mayhew was born in 1944. Now, Mayhew was diagnosed as a child with Marfan syndrome at the age of 8. Now, this can affect very tall people. And by the time he was aged 14, he was already, get this, 6'10" tall at the age of 14.
Wow.
6'10". He's a very tall boy. Now, some people think that he had what's known as giantism or gigantism, which is an overactive pituitary gland that overstimulates growth. But Peter Mayhew actually disputed that and said that I didn't have it. But he still had to have an operation. And at his full height, he stood at 7'3". So what you see on screen as Chewbacca is a man who's over 7 foot tall. So this is a very, very tall giant of history. So Mayhew is brought up in Kingston upon Thames, just outside London. And he underwent radiation treatment as a boy to slow his growth.
Wow.
And apparently this operation was successful. He said later that if he hadn't had that treatment, he might have been even taller, and that could have given him a lot more problems.
Yeah.
But his height stopped at 7'3". And when he left school, he initially worked as a porter at King's College Hospital in South London. And then he went to work at the Mayday Hospital in Croydon, which is also in South London.
Yeah.
Now, so he actually liked his hospital work, and I found a lovely quote of his that said, "It was nice to be among people you could help. You could do things, reach the top shelf, pick a little old lady up, put her in a wheelchair, and whisk her away. There are lots of pleasant memories. I do a job because I want to, not because I have to." Now, I think that's really nice, and clearly he's using his height to help people in his hospital work.
Yes.
Reaching the top shelf, etc. So that's already inspirational. But then he has his first brush with fame. So a newspaper in the 1970s included him in a feature on men who had large feet.
Okay.
Now, this article was spotted by a film producer who cast him as a Minotaur in the 1977 fantasy film Sinbad and the Eye of the Tiger. Not the song, this is a film.
Yeah.
So
No, I've got
Peter,
earworm now, Tom.
I know. Get the tune out of your head. Apparently it's not a very good film. So Mayhew recalled, the producer offered me the part of a Minotaur, which is a creature from Greek mythology with the head of a bull and a human body. And I went off to be encased in fiberglass for 6 weeks on location in Spain and Malta. It was great. But then I went back to the hospital, and that was that.
Oh.
Now, he wasn't there for long. While he was at the hospital again, Mayhew was contacted by another film producer called Gary Kurtz for a new science fiction movie directed by a guy called George Lucas. And this film was going to be called Star Wars. Now, Lucas, before Star Wars, was already an established director. He directed a film called American Graffiti, which is a very good film, incidentally, but it's not at all science fiction. So for this film, though, Lucas was looking for a character called Chewbacca. Now, Chewbacca is a tall, hairy humanoid. And Lucas's first choice for the role was a bodybuilder called David Prowse. But then he met Peter Mayhew. And in the audition, Mayhew stood up to greet Lucas, who was immediately impressed with his height. And so with that, he instantly cast him as Chewbacca, with Prowse being cast as another character. Now, you might not have heard of him. Let's call him Darth Vader. So,
No.
yes. So there was a height swap. So David Prowse was 6'6", so he's the guy in the Darth Vader suit, and Peter Mayhew is Chewbacca. But originally, Prowse would have been Chewbacca. So imagine Chewbacca, but slightly shorter, if that had gone ahead. So yeah, so it all worked out. So we said we would talk about Wookiees. Let's do a little lowdown on what they are. So Chewbacca is probably the most recognizable sidekick in movie history. He's a 200-year-old Wookiee warrior, smuggler, and resistance fighter who is the co-pilot of the Millennium Falcon spaceship with Han Solo, who is played by Harrison Ford.
Of course.
Nicknamed Chewie, he is lovable and loyal with great strength and courage. Chewie also acts as Han Solo's conscience, but he speaks with distinctive animal growls and grunts.
Go on, give us an example, Tom.
No. I like doing voices, but I'm not going to embarrass myself here. I suggest that listeners go and watch the films. You'll get a much more accurate impression then. So, now during production, Mayhew had no lines to speak, as he was completely concealed in a mohair and yak hair costume. So the film's sound designer instead voiced him with a mixture of recorded animal sounds. Now, this included walruses, bears, tigers, camels, and even badgers. So that's how we got the distinctive Chewbacca sound. It's all these creatures from the sea, from the jungle, and the English woodland, apparently. So it's fascinating how these films are made.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. But despite having no lines, Mayhew studied the movement of gorillas to prepare for the role. And he also used his own distinctive gait to pad out the character. He also provided grunts and shrieks as cues to his fellow cast members before they were dubbed over. And you can hear examples of this on YouTube. There are plenty of production videos from the 1970s. And I found this really mad anecdote from George Lucas, who said about Mayhew, despite being 7'3", he wasn't quite tall enough.
Sorry?
So George Lucas said Peter Mayhew wasn't tall enough to be Chewbacca.
Whoa.
He was 7'3", and I wanted him to be 7'5". So we put high-heeled shoes on him. So this is ridiculous. So you've already got an exceptionally tall man, but he's not tall enough, and in the film he's wearing high-heeled shoes as well. Mad.
Nothing wrong with men.
But that's science fiction.
Yeah. Sorry, say that science fiction for you.
But that's science fiction for you. You can do. I mean, I think that's quite a good thing. You can do whatever you like because this is an alien world. You know, they can be as big as you please. And so the film comes out in 1977, and it's an instant hit with audiences. And Mayhew went on to act in 5 more Star Wars films. So this included the original trilogy. So that includes the first film, later known as A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And then and he also appeared in the 2005 prequel, Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, and the 2015 sequel, Episode 7, The Force Awakens. Now, he was also going to appear in 2017's Episode 8, The Last Jedi, but poor health forced him to pull out. And he was replaced by a Finnish actor called Jonas Suotamo, who looked to Mayhew for advice. And so on The Last Jedi, Mayhew is credited as, I think this is amazing, Chewbacca consultant. Now, that is something that I would want on my CV, to consult to be Chewbacca. Fantastic. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool story. And Mayhew, thankfully, really loved playing Chewbacca. And he loved the character. I found a quote that he said in 2015. Chewbacca is more of a teddy bear or security blanket. He's who you count on when things get scary. His size isn't intimidating because he's on your side. Chewie doesn't waste time talking. He just comes in and saves the day. which is true, and he's still a fan favourite even after all these years. Now, I should say that a bit about Mayhew's life away from Star Wars. He did some other acting work, such as the 1978 horror film called Terror, but he was mostly associated with Chewbacca, and he was a regular on the sci-fi convention circuit for many years. Away from the film industry, he had a varied career as, quite randomly, a timber investor, and he also wrote children's books with his wife. Two of them were called Growing Up Giant and My Favourite Giant. He also spent a lot of time raising money for charity, with appearances dressed as Chewbacca, and he later moved to America and became a US citizen in 2005. Now, because Mayhew was so tall, I tried to find quotes about what he said about it. And what was really nice was that he clearly was not bothered by it, seemingly. One quote I found says, "It's curious that when you look down at people, you see their defects, their irregularities more clearly. I like my bird's eye view. I think it's what gives Chewie his pride, his bigness of heart."
Yeah.
Which is really nice, isn't that? It's just a very sweet quote, and he's clearly comfortable in his own skin, which I found fantastic.
Yeah, no, one of my favourite characters in Star Wars, full stop, is Chewbacca.
Yeah, he's like
great big furball.
It's true. He's like exactly, as Han Solo. I think Han Solo just called him a big furball, doesn't he?
Yeah.
At one point, I think so. I could be wrong. Listeners, if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me.
I'm sure we'll be corrected by the Star Wars fans, two of which are in my house. So,
yeah.
I know. I after you, Tom.
Sorry. Yes. I did find another quote as well. He did touch on the troubles of being that tall. But again, he owned it. He said, "When I go to restaurants, I can never get my legs under a table. I bump my head in planes. People who sit behind me in the theatre hate me.
Oh, yeah.
But I have given up apologising to the world." So again, he's comfortable about it and he doesn't care, which again is fantastic.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Beautifully tall, embracing his height, and at a different age, a different time as well.
Yeah, I can imagine he would have had a lot of people making comments and staring at him, but he seemed to take it all in his stride. And I must admit, because of his height, he did have a lot of health issues later on in his life. So, for example, he had to have double knee replacements and spinal surgery.
Uh-huh.
But he did live to an old age. He died age 74 in 2019. And when he died, the tributes were really, really nice from his castmates. So Harrison Ford, who played Han Solo, said of him, "Peter Mayhew was a kind and gentle man, possessed of great dignity and noble character. These aspects of his own personality, plus his wit and grace, he brought to Chewbacca. We were partners in film and friends in life for over 30 years, and I loved him." And similarly, Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, said, "He was the gentlest of giants. What was so remarkable about him was his spirit and his kindness, and his gentleness was so close to what a Wookiee is. He just radiated happiness and warmth. He was always up for a laugh, and we just hit it off immediately and stayed friends for over 40 years. I mean, you can't get better than this, really. So this is a prime example of a beautifully tall person. But I think I might leave the final quote to George Lucas. And George Lucas actually wrote an article praising Mayhew after he passed away. And this is the quote that I found. "Peter was a wonderful, wonderful man. He was very gentle, very sweet, very easy to get along with. He was more like a Wookiee than I originally imagined a Wookiee to be. Originally, I envisaged Chewie as some big ferocious beast, but Peter's Chewie wasn't really ferocious. No matter how hard he tried, he wasn't ferocious. He would be your best friend until he got angry, then stand back. He was a gentle giant." So, I mean, I can't put it better than that, really.
Brilliant, brilliant quote. Thanks for finding that quote,
So
Tom.
this, no, it's fine. So clearly, Peter Mayhew, this is a beautifully tall man who made a lot of people very happy. So I think this is he's an unexpected choice, but he's very inspirational. I loved researching him.
Oh,
It's been fantastic.
You enjoyed your Giants of History this week, and I just sit here listening, thinking that of course Chewbacca's real in my mind. But you're talking about that actor in a suit. We're talking about Chewbacca, really, aren't we?
I guess so, yeah. But the thing is, when you watch the films, you kind of if you took a step back, Chewbacca is quite a ridiculous character. He is this giant teddy bear, but because of Mayhew's performance, you believe what he's doing, and he's kind of like he's the hero of these films. I mean, there's so many debates online as to like Chewbacca not getting a medal when the Death Star was blown up, and people get really het up about it.
Absolutely.
And even in the last, and in the last official Star Wars film, Episode 9, Chewie finally gets a medal. So happy endings all round, really.
Oh, well, Tom, you deserve a medal for your Giants of History. Thank you ever so much for that.
Nah.
And
that's all right. That's all right. May the Force be with you.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. Thank you, Tom.
Yeah, I enjoyed that too. That's fantastic. Yeah, you can't go wrong with Star Wars. People who don't like it, I don't understand. But never mind. You're trying to tell me that tall men are shy?
Some of them can be, yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, so
well, goodness me. I mean, that does surprise me because I imagine that tall comes with confidence. At least that's the stereotype. So that's very interesting.
Maybe it's just me intimidating them because I'm a tall woman.
Nah, you're not intimidating.
Thank you, Tom. No, yes, we've got some interviews coming up with men on various tall issues and how they feel about their height and coping mechanisms, top tips, all of that.
Well, that's good. Well, I'm really pleased, Letty, that we've got a good gender split. It really helps the inclusive nature of Tall Talk Times.
Welcome, Steve Mansell, to Tall Chats. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Letty. How are you?
I'm good. I could do with a bit more sunshine. So, for our lovely listeners who don't know how tall you are, Steve, how tall are you?
I'm a beautifully tall 6'8".
6'8"? That is beautifully tall, isn't it?
I enjoy it.
Yeah. So at 6'8", and you've got children who are tall as well.
I have, yeah. I've got a son who's actually 15 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Steve, son.
Happy birthday, George. He is 6'3" at 15. And I have a daughter who is 12 and she is 5'5", I believe.
Lovely. They're going to be like their daddy, tall.
Oh, yeah, they certainly are. George has already got bigger feet than me, so he's just coming on to a 13. I'm just touching a 13, so yeah, I'm sure he's gonna overtake me.
Do you find it easy to get footwear for them?
We had a little bit of a struggle but we did manage to find some bits. If you go online, as all of us do, us tallies, online's the place to be. But yeah, there's stuff out there if you can look.
I was just talking to a lady the other day about shoe shopping and how nice it would be if we could go into a shop and buy shoes.
Oh, yeah, wouldn't that be a treat? Just go into a shop and buy anything to wear would be incredible.
So it's not just the women then?
No, not at all. I struggle. I'm like wearing a boob tube every time I go and buy like a T-shirt from a shop.
That we need a photograph of on the Tall Talk Times Facebook group.
Anytime.
Absolutely. Right, well, that's it. You heard it here, listeners. Steve Mansell's going to wear a boob tube and it's going up on the Facebook group.
Well, I was a rugby player, so I'm used to these things.
What? Humiliation.
Yeah, exactly.
Excellent. Come to me. Actually, no, don't, listeners. Don't come to me for humiliation. That's going to be taken completely out of context. Right. So, Steve, growing up, you're an old... you're not a 20-year-old chap, are you?
I'm not. No, I'm 45.
45. Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah. 45. But have you noticed a change? So you've got your son who's 15 at 6'3".
Yeah.
Have you noticed a change in people's perception of height from when you were his age to now?
I don't know really. I suppose because you're tall, you're kind of immersed in it all the time. Every time you go out, it's maybe you get pictures taken of you, or if somebody wants to, or you're at the bar and there's a comment of sort in the supermarket. I don't know really. Having not been at his height at this time, his age, sorry, at this time of his life, I wouldn't really know. But I think it's more acceptable is the wrong word, I think, but I think it's more.
It is for a man. It's acceptable for a man to be tall.
Yeah, I think it's more accepted these days. Like we said about clothes, but years ago you couldn't get anything. You were either getting it made or getting your nan or your mum to stick an extra inch on the end of your
shirt. Yeah. The days of the homemade trousers.
Absolutely.
But not necessarily the skill set to make them, I have to say,
no,
dear departed mother. But much appreciated. Not.
We did have some random things to wear, like a bit of curtain on the end of your jeans, brilliant.
Be fine. Nobody will notice. Be fine.
No, exactly.
So apart from having extra bits of material added to the end of our trousers, which seems to be a mutual experience that we've both had, how are you on sleeve length?
Yeah, that's a struggle, if I'm honest. I tend to wear short sleeve shirts most of the time.
I wonder why.
Exactly. I'm like a gorilla with the arms flapping about.
Listeners, he really isn't like a gorilla. He really isn't.
But yeah, I don't know. You can get long sleeve stuff. I found that there's quite a few companies now that really do cater for us. So yeah, you can get it around and about. But
we still can't walk into those shops.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And who are your favourite go-to online retailers, Steve?
Oof. I would have said Dixon shirts, flannel shirts. They're pretty good. They do a long section. River Island used to be really good. However, I have noticed of recent, just after COVID, the tall clothes have decreased a little bit online. That just before it was really good, and now it's not as good. So hopefully that's going to get better.
Well, yeah, I hope so. I mean, I've got an interview lined up with a chap that's made his own tall range.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, coming to Tall Talk Times sometime near you.
You've heard it here first, listeners.
No, Steve, when you were a rugby player, did you find the need to obviously eat a lot more calories than your average sportsman?
I don't know. I think we all ate quite a bit. We were quite strict on what we had. We had like a diet meeting once a week at the rugby club.
Wow.
So yeah, we were quite well fed. But yeah, I trained most days. I had the Sunday off, and then back on it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So did you follow a particular diet?
Yeah, there was all sorts of diets we went on. Just before a game, if we had we'd eat to the game that we had. So if we had like a hard game, we'd have more calories. If we would have like a faster game, we'd eat something else. It was quite interesting, really.
Well, that is really interesting. I'm very interested in the diet that sportsmen have. Weirdly, it's one of these. I suppose because I have two young men, sons, who are constantly changing up their diet, constantly, from no carbs to carb loading, to high protein to extra creatine in protein shakes.
Yeah, well, I'm living that at the moment with my son. He just started doing lots of gym work and bodybuilding. He wants to get really big muscles. So he's like, "Oh, can I have this? Can I have that?" And I'm like, "Well, be a bit more careful. If you eat the right things, you'll be fine."
Yeah,
exactly.
So a lot of the supplements as well. You've got to be careful that are clean supplements.
Absolutely. Yeah, but actually being at 6'8", I think we spoke about it when we met up. I'm actually a vegetarian, so that's an interesting one that people can't quite fathom from my size.
I'm shaking my head, listeners. I'm shaking my head. How can you be? Because Steve is very beautifully tall, at 6'8". How can you possibly maintain that frame being a vegetarian?
Lots of eating, lots
of sugar,
of vegetables, lots of I would have said lots of sugar, lots of coffee.
Coffee.
But Yeah, it's my downfall, my coffee. But yeah, absolutely. Loads of eating. But yeah, I do eat a bit of seafood still. But yeah, it's mainly vegetables.
Okay, well, that's the end of that conversation. Sorry. I I love my meat. I love my meat. I'm more sort of ketovore. I eat a
Yeah,
lot of meat. But then I don't eat the coffee thing. You shouldn't apologise for, because Steve, I did a month without coffee.
right. Okay. How many people did you kill?
I didn't actually to kill anyone. No, I was too sad. So I had to start drinking coffee again. It really
Oh
is
wow.
my happy juice.
Yeah, absolutely. I need at least 2 or 3 cups a morning.
I can't go to the gym without having coffee.
No, exactly. I splurged out the other week to get a proper coffee machine for the house as well. So I thought, treat myself.
I keep killing coffee machines, so I've gone back to the on the hob little
Oh
French
wow.
percolator. No, I honestly, I have a thing, and we keep killing them. So no, I'm doing it all manually now. That's it. It's fine. It's done. But
Good.
I think maybe because we're tall people, we can take more coffee.
Possibly. Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I think it certainly does us good.
It does us good. Completely not relevant at all. But hey, it does us good.
It stops me grinding bones into bread.
Oh, yeah. No, there's the giant reference.
There you go.
Did you get a lot of that when you were at school?
Oh yeah, Jolly Green Giant and that, which I hated.
Ho, ho, ho. Yeah.
Ho, ho, ho. Oh my God. Many other things. What was it? Andre the Giant. All sorts of bits and pieces. Lanky. Yeah.
Sounds like I may have triggered you here, Steve, for which I apologise.
I'm just going back to my youth.
You have a cat as well.
I have a cat and a dog. Yeah, we have Lenny and we have Mavis. Oh,
Lenny and Mavis.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like an old 80s sitcom.
Does, doesn't it? So we've just taken a quick pause, listeners, because Steve had to let his dog in. And I'm going to ask you what breed of dog it is.
He is a Labrador, silver Labrador.
Okay, well, that's good. So you haven't got, with your 6'8" frame, a really tiny dog.
No, could you imagine me with a Chihuahua? I'd be careful to find it on the bottom of my foot.
It would be too awful. I actually fall over things if they're too far. I just don't even recognise them. They're out of my vision.
Yeah.
Like little barriers at National Trust places. Now I'm walking through. I haven't even seen that barrier.
Oh, brilliant.
But no, going back to the dog thing, I do think, as we are very tall people, we need to have dogs that are in proportion. It does.
Absolutely.
It looks too silly, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And Len's getting a big boy. He's I think he's 32 kilos at the moment, so he's only 7 months.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's a big dog. But do you when you go out and about and you're walking, you get any positive comments? We've touched on the negatives, but do you get any positive comments with your height?
I sometimes, yeah, rarely. Usually older ladies that you see in the supermarket. You're like, oh, aren't you so tall? And you're like, okay, that's my old lady voice, by the way.
That's it. I'm not editing that out, listeners. That stays in.
Absolutely. But yeah, you get, oh, aren't you so tall? And it must be amazing being this tall. You get that. But really, people are either, I don't know, shocked or like, wow. or it's kind of a jibe or maybe some sort of joke.
At our expense.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Usually, yeah. But it's I think you get a bit thick-skinned to it in the end.
Do you?
Kind of, it's
That's good.
life.
I mean, I think sometimes there are days where, oh God, I'm not going out because I'm not really up for it. And other days, I'll take on the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody gets that. But it gets a bit tiresome sometimes when you're getting a photo every 5 minutes, or it's like, oh, come on, leave me alone.
Do you say that ever? Do you turn around and say, please, just leave me alone?
No, not really. I tend to smile and just be accommodating and have a bit of a joke and a laugh, and and just enjoy the moment, because I think sometimes people don't realise, and they're not trying to be horrible. If they are trying to be horrible, then there's a different conversation. But I think on the whole, people aren't trying to be horrible. They just want a conversation.
They're just amazed. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
really, I mean, kudos to you, because most people will turn around and snap after a certain amount of requests to take photos. Or how tall are you?
Mm.
So what advice have you got for young men coming up who are particularly tall? And what do you say to your son as he grows tall? I mean, he's embracing his height, I would imagine, with a tall father.
Absolutely embrace it. Just learn to love yourself. Everybody's different. I think it'd be boring if it was all the same.
Yeah.
So just embrace what you have, and just be thankful for it, because there's people that are short, let's say, that would love to be tall.
Yeah.
And there's people tall that would love to be short. We can't change who we are. We can't change how we are. So, just get on with it, and just,
self-acceptance.
Yeah, exactly. Put them shoulders back, walk tall, but duck for the doorways.
That's very good advice. Yes. Doorway ducking. Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone over 6 foot.
Yeah.
My eldest son, has now outgrown 4 properties.
Wow.
And when we lost a couple of properties, and we were desperate measures to find this one, I hadn't even gone upstairs. I just said to the boys, if you can stand in this house, I don't care, without your shoes, because you take your shoes off. If you can stand in this house, we're buying it.
Brilliant.
And they'd come in, and I just said, right, can you stand? And Oscar said, yeah, I can stand, even with my shoes on. I said, that's great. Now go upstairs. I hadn't even gone upstairs, and they said, yeah, it's lovely. 3 bedrooms. Yeah, we can stand up. And the agent said to me, I cannot take an offer off of you until you've walked upstairs.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because I was that desperate to make sure that there was a house that we could buy. We'd already sold the cottage in Devon, and my sons could stand up in.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that a lot of people don't even consider. The height of...
even think about it.
No.
Yeah.
So he was 18 when we moved in here. He's now 20. And he can't wear his shoes in the living room anymore. He has put on another couple of inches since we've been here. And if he wears his shoes, he has his head at a slight angle in the living room.
How tall are your sons, Letty?
Oscar, my eldest, is 6'5.5".
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so you couldn't stand up in my living room either, Steve.
Yeah. I haven't been invited yet.
Now I'm going to have a Tool Talk Times party at some point. But and then Merlin, my youngest, is 6'3.5". No, actually, he's probably 6'4" now, because he's taller than me. Yeah.
Oh, wow. How old are they?
How old?
How old are they? Sorry, yeah.
18 and 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. So they're getting to the age where they're probably leveling off for their height, I suppose.
I would hope so, because I've only got one more move left in me, Steve. And the joke is, right, so, Mother, will you buy a chapel? I've always wanted to buy a chapel or a church or something. Imagine all that ceiling height.
Oh, it'd be beautiful as well. The architecture of it would be absolutely amazing.
Absolutely. So I'll probably have a tent in the corner to keep warm, but at least they'll be able to walk around.
Brilliant. I've actually a little story for you. I'm a technical trainer for Volkswagen Group, so I teach people how to fix cars and bits and pieces.
Brilliant.
And I release the new vehicles out to the world in the UK.
Exciting.
So exciting things, yeah. But we released a couple of years ago a camper van called the Grand California. And one of my jobs is to R&D the vehicle, to see what it does and to see, what all the bits are inside. So one of the things I thought what was important for us tall people, could I have a shower inside this vehicle? And I can.
Did you really? Did you do that?
I had a shower inside the vehicle and I had a little sleep on the bed. But share inside the vehicle, and there's plenty of room in there. But I just thought, you know what, we can kind of say to you, yeah, 6'8" person in there can fit nicely and have enough room.
So that's a V-Dub Grand California,
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
that's like a camper van thing, is it?
A big camper van. They are quite expensive, to be fair, but plenty of room for us beautifully tall people.
I mean, headroom. If you can have a shower in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd really just like a car that I can drive where I've got leg room, and you know, steering wheel is above my knees, so I don't have to drive like a man. But you found a vehicle that you can shower in.
Yeah, exactly. I love a camper van, and yeah, we found a vehicle and can shower in. But yeah, there's plenty of cars out there that you'll fit in nicely.
I do. I have a disco, my truck, which I love. Yeah, that has been with me for a long time. I've dallied with other vehicles in the meantime, mainly Saabs, but I always come back to my truck because everyone fits in it so well. You don't feel odd when you're in it. You know, all of us can get in the car. We've got room for cricket stuff, rugby stuff, food stuff, and I've moved trees in it. So, yeah.
Oh, you've got to have a car that does everything. You know? But yeah, but believe it or not, my first car, and it's kind of a family tradition, was a Austin Mini.
No dashboard, so you would have got your legs in there.
Yeah, I had to modify the seat, and it earned me the nickname Hightower at work because I put the seat backward.
Oh yeah. So you moved the seat right back.
Yeah, I took it off the rails and re-drilled it into the floor a little way back. So I was basically against the back seat, if I'm honest. But yeah, there was plenty of room. I drove it everywhere. That's
brilliant. I tell you, exactly the same thing. I had a neighbour of mine, superstar now, Leroy from the original lineup of the Prodigy, Leroy.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and he did the same thing. He was just around the corner from me, and he had a Mini that he drove everywhere, and he moved the chair back, and it was great.
Yeah,
so
plenty
of room, no dash. So, what was your second car, Steve?
My second car was a Ford Fiesta.
Oh no, can't mention that. Horrible things. No. Anything.
Yeah, horrible. It was awful.
I can't imagine you in a Ford Fiesta. No room. Come on.
Yeah, but no, very little dash as well, though. You know, I do find that if you've got a dash that's kind of swooping down, you kind of hit your knee a little bit. But yeah, but I currently drive a Mercedes CLS, and that's loads of room. Brilliant.
Really? That's good to hear. Any other cars that you would recommend for our Tool Talk Times listeners?
Oh, there's loads. There's plenty. Audi A6. I've got a Porsche Cayenne as well, and that's loads of room in that. Not very good on fuel. Pretty good on.
No, I had a Japanese import Celica.
Oh. Yeah.
Oh yeah, G4.
Yeah.
Lots of leg room. Went very fast too.
Yeah, there you go. I always say to my my friends and delegates that something my size should not be going fast, so I'm quite happy just to plod along.
Yeah. I think it's an age thing, though. No disrespect. I'm older than you, Steve. Okay.
Yeah.
So Oscar said to me the other day, "Could you drive a bit faster?" And I just raised an eyebrow and looked at him and went, "We will get there on time. Why do I need to drive faster? I've been driving fast my entire life. I just want to chill, cruise, look. Because I'm in a higher vehicle, I like to look around."
Yeah, exactly. But, just taking the scenery.
And I know I can hear him coming up the road. You don't need to race absolutely everywhere. No, you really don't need to. But he's a young man. He's got himself a nice little classic car that he fits in. Saab 900, lots of leg room.
Yeah, brilliant.
So why not?
Yeah, why not? As long as you're safe, that's absolutely fine, isn't it?
No, don't even start on. I just have to trust the universe is going to look after them. But yeah, it's definitely, I think, an age thing. So we're going slower in our bigger vehicles as we get older. But the younger Tool Talk Times listeners will probably be blasting around the neighbourhood at the top of the speed range because it is actually a target and not a limit, apparently.
Apparently so. Apparently so. Yeah.
So if money was no object, what vehicle would you buy?
Ooh, I don't know, actually. There's a lot of them I won't fit in these days. I have no idea. There's so many I like. So many. It'd probably be something Mercedes.
Really?
Yeah, I quite like a Mercedes. I'll probably get shot down for saying that, being a representative for Volkswagen. But I do love a Mercedes. I do love an XC90, the new shape one. They're so much room.
Really? How do they differ?
Oh, incredible. They're a little bit juicy, but absolutely loads of leg room. 3 rows of seats, brilliant.
Volvos are juicy though, aren't they?
Yeah. But it was a very nice car whilst I had it.
Yeah, I mean, XC90 was comparable for me with the Land Rover Discovery 3. Didn't know which one to go for. Pleased that I went for the Disco from the driving point of view and for the space for all of us, but not from the bills at the garage.
Oh no, it's out. Yeah, luckily it was a company car, but it was
Yeah. So we have a section on our Tool Talk Times Facebook group, listeners, called Tool Rides, and it don't know who came up with that, but that relates to cars actually. So yeah,
I'm not saying anything.
No, very well behaved, Steve. Thank you.
Yep.
Otherwise, I have to press a little button when I edit the podcast that says explicit content. So,
is that the Tool Talk Times After Dark?
Tool Talk Times After Dark coming to a podcast near you. Never going to record After Dark. We have a section on the Tool Talk Times Facebook group called Tool Rides. Well done, Steve. No more sniggering this time.
I don't know what you mean, Letty. I don't know what you mean.
And on that thread, we have a lot of cars. And Steve's going to go on to there later on today and add all of the suggestions that he's made on the podcast today.
Absolutely. And I added a couple of new cheeky ones on there, just so you've got a few to peruse.
Yeah, no red herrings in there like a little bubble car or anything like that. Actually, do you know Oliver Richter? He is Dutch bodybuilder turned actor.
I think I might have seen something recently on that, actually. He had a bubble car or something, didn't he? Or something?
Yeah, I put that up on the group, and he actually got in and out the bubble car.
Wow.
Because the dash is on the door, isn't it, at the front?
Yeah, exactly. Just squeeze him in.
And for listeners that can't relate to what Steve and I are saying, for listeners who don't know who Oliver Richters is, he was the baddie in the most recent movie. Do you know, Steve?
Was it the Temple of Doom thing?
Indiana Jones, most recent one.
Indiana Jones, sorry, yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, well done. So he's a very tall, muscly chap, and he had a little spoof thing where he practiced getting in and out of a bubble car.
Oh wow! I'll have to look that one up.
Yeah,
have a little look. Yeah, I'll maybe try it myself one day.
Yeah, nowhere for the kids or the sports staff or the dog.
Perfect.
Perfect.
A little bit of silence for a while.
Oh, we're getting old, Steve. We're getting old.
Yeah, I'll tell you. All I want is to slip as my pipe and a good movie. There you go.
Well, if you have a look at the latest Indiana Jones movie, you will feel beautifully tall with the baddie. But again, why are tall people always cast as the baddies?
I know. It kind of gives us a bad rep, I think.
I mean, in the Bond movie with Jaws, that actor.
Yeah,
baddie.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, the guy in the Fast and the Furious, Martin something, he's a bodybuilder, and he's a baddie in that as well.
Right. A lot of tall baddies. So, listeners, do you know of any actors that are tall that are not baddies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think there's a new program on Prime, Jack Reacher. I
Okay.
think Tom Cruise played him, which is a bit wrong because Tom Cruise is only little. But yeah, the series, the guy's really tall and he's a good guy,
Right.
avenging people.
So we've got one then.
Yeah, that's the only one I can think of, Letty.
Otherwise, it's just a lot of very tall, evil people.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
See, what we're trying to do, Steve and listeners, is to make people realise, average-sized people realise that we're not giants, we're not daddy long legs, we're not evil, we're just beautifully tall people.
However, if we get asked to take too many pictures, we may turn evil.
Hey, that would be like a Tall Talk Times version of the Hulk. Yeah?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well,
you won't like me when I'm angry. Don't ask for another picture.
That's a T-shirt. That's a T-shirt exactly. Right there. You ask me for my photo, you ask me my height, I will turn.
I've got to say, I went on rugby tour to Magaluf a couple of years ago.
Oh my God, can we just have that sentence again? You, with a load of other beautifully tall rugby players, on a tour in Magaluf.
Absolutely. We was there for the Magaluf Sevens. And yeah, we was playing out there, and me and one of my other friends, we convinced a group of people that we were body doubles for the mountain in Game of Thrones.
Brilliant. Excellent.
We were signing things and taking pictures. Yeah, it was brilliant.
So that's you having some fun with your height.
Absolutely. And why not?
Well, this is the thing. So, you know that when I met you at Tall Talk Times, celebrating Height Monthly Social, that we have different locations in London, but we are spreading out. I was wearing heels.
Yep, beautifully tall still. Yeah.
Yes, but with heels on, which is a new thing for me. But you guys didn't bat an eyelid.
No, not at all. Not at all. Everyone fitted in. It was a really great night, to be fair.
Because we're all sort of eye level. Well, I was still a little bit shorter than you, even with heels on. So, well, that just means I need to wear bigger heels, frankly.
Exactly. Great.
the other 29 days in the month, I'm in Converse. But how did it feel hanging out with a load of guys the same height as you? I mean, it's been a while since you did your rugby. You haven't had that experience for a certain length of time. Obviously, you stood with our wonderful co-founder, Nat Daniels, and with a couple of other beautifully tall chaps like Kieran. How did you feel?
Do you know what? At first, it felt really strange. But within a few moments, you kind of get into the swing of things, and it was really great, if I'm honest. It was really nice to meet people of the same height. And it was kind of strange to talk to somebody at eye level, which was a bit weird. But the weirdest thing I found was, what do you do with your arms?
What do you normally do with your arms, Steve?
Well, I'm kind of very animated, so I move my arms about when I'm talking and bits and pieces. I'm moving my arms now, but actually, when I was moving my arms and talking, you're like touching people where you shouldn't really. It was like touching on the arm or bits and pieces where people that are smaller, when you're moving your arms about, you're not doing that. It's like, it was just weird.
Did you get yourself into trouble?
No, not at all. Not at all. As soon as I realised they were in my pocket. But yeah, honestly, it was a fantastic night. Everyone was amazing. It was just like going out with a bunch of mates. Everyone made you feel so welcome, and I think because there was lots of us that were of a similar height, people did kind of left you alone a little bit.
Yeah, see, the average height people, they don't even mess with us, do they? Don't even look at if we're on our own, we're easy pickings.
Exactly, and it was great. It was absolutely great. And I'll be sure to come in again once soon.
Good. That's brilliant. So for those people who are on our Facebook group, and also we have a meetup group as well, and they're not too sure about whether or not they should pop along, even if they're on their own, what would you say to them?
Oh, just go along. Honestly, get yourself out of your comfort zone. I actually travelled I live in Oxfordshire. I travelled to London on the train. It was easy to get there. and it's well worth it. Absolutely well worth it. Just to meet other people just like you, and not saying we're different, but we're just a little bit more special.
A bit more special, very special, and beautifully tall. Steve Mansell, thank you so much for sparing the time for a tall chat with me today.
Thank you ever so much, Letty. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Thanks, Steve.